Dmytro, the stage is yours. Cheers.
Thank you very much. So today we will speak about biostimulants, as mentioned, and microbial ones. So let's start. A few words about us. I represent a BTU company, biotechnological company from Ukraine. We have more than 500 people. We work with microbial solutions, more than 60 products based on that, and we apply them in quite a big scale, more than 4 million hectares each year. And for us, it's quite important that all the solutions which we propose are baked with data and confidence. That is why we have more than 2,000 trials, field trials, with average success rate of 90%, with average increase of the yield of 10%. So speaking about our presence, at the moment we export to 25 countries, mainly Central and East Europe, but also we are developing in Latin America, in North Africa, etc. So we are 27 now years company, also with office in Germany, and more than 15 products are registered in Europe. The products which I will speak about today are represented in Europe. So that is how our factory looks like, and we have own museum of strains with hundreds of strains with different functions which we are using in our products. So that is how our office looks like in Kyiv and in Germany, and our teams. And we are quite active on industrial events like today, to know what is happening in the industry and to be among those who are developing the most relevant and technological solutions. So let's come closer to today's topic. We will speak about those products which have some relations to the carbon. Because of latest regulation, we decided to focus on this topic. So first direction will be kind of direct carbon capture in soil, or carbon sequestration. This is a product Ecostern, which is a complex bacterial fungal products which produce enzymes accelerating carbon sequestration in soil, but also improves soil fertility and properties. We will speak about that later. Second direction would be biofertilizers, Groundfix for phosphorus solubilization, and Azotohelp for nitrogen fixation, and a little bit for the drought tolerance as well. So again, as we want to share what farmers could expect from such solutions. So as we speak about biofertilizers, you can see that they are kind of near the average for our biologicals, but even a little bit higher. So it's you can expect from them also near 8 to 12% increases of the yield. So let's move to the first solution. And as I mentioned, Ecostern is composed of bacteria and fungi like Trichoderma, Bacillus, Enterobacter, Enterococcus. And we work with two formulations, liquid and dry. Dry is more kind of sophisticated and suitable for the distribution because it does not need very special conditions for handling. And normally when we apply this product and go in field, so we can see such pictures. So first of all, we work with plant remains, for example, with corn, cabbage, sunflower, rapeseed. It can be quite important because they does not allow normal germination and operations in field. Also, these plant remains are a source or a place where we have pests which can survive during the winter, so we reduce their survival. And also plant residues are the source for pathogens to develop, so we also work in this direction. But of course, then we have a better root development and yield increase in the end. So how it looks like, again, in terms of studies, we tested this product, of course, in a lot of them. Here is an example from Germany. And when we work with microbial biologicals, biofertilizers, including Ecostern, we can expect also improvement of availability of nutrients in soil, like phosphorus. And that is why in a lot of studies we reduce fertilizers rates, in this case for 25%, And as you can see, when we applied Ecostern, we reach the level of the yield, like on 100% control. So that is a way not only to improve performance of the plants, but also to use natural resources in a more sustainable way. But what is special about this product? Again, we positionize it in Europe as product for carbon sequestration, and we are working to work more closely with carbon market. And for this direction, we do a lot of studies. Some of them are 5 years, some of them are 3 years. This example is made together with our partner in Ukraine, company Kernel. It was done during 3 years, and during this period, with different formulations of the product, we succeed in average to increase the level of soil labile carbon for almost 0.2%. If we recalculate this amount to organic compounds per hectare and then recalculate it to amount of CO2 which was captured in soil and prevented from emissions, that is more than 8 tons of CO2 per hectare. And again, as mentioned yesterday, at the moment price of CO2 is near like 90 euros per ton, so you can see that this technology could provide serious additional profitability for the farmers. And that is why again we work in a direction to have example as from BASF from real examples of compensating farmers their efforts in carbon direction. But this is not the only thing. As mentioned, like in Greece, in Balkans, and a few years ago in Italy, now in Europe, climate is changing, and sometimes it's quite dramatic. You don't have any water, and then during short period of time you have a high amount of rain, which leads to to floods. And again, flooded soil is bad because a lot of bacteria, important functional but microorganisms in soil, they require moisture, not only moisture but also the air, and that is why after this situation, but also after some operations in fields which are made by farmers, like soil irrigation or chemical sterilization of soil, you have dead soil, which is not so much functional and very sensitive to pathogens infection. So what we do, we return functional microbiota to the soil, to return its functionality, and to also prevent its from infection by harmful microorganisms. And we do that not only in a laboratory, we do a lot of studies in field. In this example, we used Ecostern in Germany on regenerative farms, which were already quite in good conditions. But in these conditions, we reached to improve enzymatic activeness, which is a kind of integrative indicator of soil health for like 10 to 30%, and also functional biodiversity. So by this, again, we try to return and keep sustain fertility in soil by using functional PGPR and fungi. And then another example from Spain. It was quite, I visited this farm myself maybe a few times, and it's very spectacular, as you can see. But again, idea for us was to test Ecostern on some citrus plantations used via fertigation. And it's quite difficult to catch really the difference on plants, and always farmers want to see, so why apply the products, so what? Again, by the yield, it's not always easy to catch this difference. That is why we do some specific soil analysis and plant analysis. In this case, again, we used Biotrax, which is a Japanese approach to soil enzymatic activeness measurement. So as you can see, on the control, during like a period of testing, as I remember it was 1 month, the enzymatic activeness decreased. Again, sometimes it decreased just because of the conditions, but we monitor both like development on control, the dynamics, and then on the trial. And what we can see is that we not only prevent soil from decreasing of enzymatic activeness of microorganisms, but even increase it. But that's not the only indicator. Again, for us, it's very important to catch as much as possible influence on plants' productivity. That is why we also use NDVI index as a kind of visualization of plants' development. And we see that also on the control during the testing period, the NDVI was decreased almost for 20%, and on the trial fields we also succeed to improve it. And it's very interesting that these figures quite correlate with performance of microorganisms in soil. So let's come closer to the second part of my presentation about biofertilizers. So we will speak about Groundfix for phosphorus solubilization and Azotohelp for nitrogen fixation. So first is Groundfix. It's a complex of phosphorus solubilizing bacteria, and we start work with it more than 7 years ago now, and start with farmers always want to see, okay, if I use phosphorus solubilizing product, so how much less phosphorus can I use? So we start test with 30% fertilization reduction, and it was interesting to see that on different crops like sunflower, corn, and soybeans, we reach the yields even higher than on 100% control with full scheme of fertilizers. So we don't stop on that and continue studies in different regions. Here, for example, in Germany on the wheat, we also reduced 25% of fertilization, and with positive influence on the yield of the wheat. So we continue such studies in Ukraine, of course, as well, and now we work with different formulations of the products, because again, that are like kind of, as yesterday mentioned, tailored solutions. For some markets, they need just simple, the cheapest and efficient solutions. So we work with the classical version of Groundfix. And on some markets, we are asked, okay, I want to use a product, but I don't have the distribution channels. Does not have any special conditions. We have 300 to 1,000 shops with normal storage conditions. So what we can do? And then we develop more modern formulations which are stable in the normal conditions, and we test them even up to 40 degrees for storage, and they are stable. But again, for us it's important that all of them perform well. That is why we test different formulations in comparison, and again in direction for NPK substitution. So in this case on corn we also reduce 30% of fertilizers and reach the yield which was even higher than on 100% control. We do such studies, not only studies but practices. This is example from Germany, where the farmer substitute completely DAP in his farm. He used before nearly 100 kilograms of these fertilizers per hectare, and he reached the yield which is even better than before. But the cost of his scheme also reduced for nearly 30 euros per hectare. And again, it's already a 3 years experience. So speaking about Azotohelp, nitrogen fixing bacteria, it's quite again popular after 2022, especially when fertilizers prices increased a lot. So again, in this direction for nitrogen fixation, we also do a lot of studies to visualize substitution or improvement of nitrogen use efficiency. In this case, we substitute 30 kilograms of nitrogen per hectare without loss of the yield, and with different methods of application, both in foliar application and soil application. Our partners do some kind of critical studies. For example, here you can see our partners substitute 160 kilograms of urea, which is around 50 kilograms of nitrogen per hectare, also without loss of the yield. And at the moment, we already have 3 years of results, similar results in this research station. Again, we were speaking about inhibitors today, so we also have some cases when farmers use inhibitors together with urea and together with nitrogen fixing bacteria. So in the beginning, our microbiologists were quite careful or even scary a bit about this direction, because what we see in laboratories that inhibitors really inhibit nitrogen fixing bacteria, but what we see in field from these examples that even besides this inhibition, we have a positive influence on the yield. So you can see here, like if in variant just with urea, the yield was 3.4, so the increment from application of Azotohelp was 400 kilograms, in comparison to an inhibitor which provided 300 kilograms, so you can see you can expect similar things from these directions. But what is good and positive is that it's possible to combine these two approaches and have to be able to double the effects from both inhibitors and nitrogen fixing bacteria. Yesterday, again inspired by the speakers, I did some calculations at night and roughly, again from nearly 400 studies, we calculate the amount of NPK which Groundfix can provide. You can see these figures here. Also, we know that the price of carbon on the market is around 90 euros per ton. So again, with Azotohelp, which in average provide 30 kg of nitrogen per hectare, I make some calculations of what additional savings can industry have or farmers have if they use these products, additionally to additional yield. So for Azotohelp, calculations were around 55 euros per hectare, both for nitrogen fertilizer savings and for possible CBAM costs. And for Groundfix, it's also around 26 euros, which is also fertilizer savings and possible CBAM costs. So again, what is good about biologicals and biostimulants, in our case, they are quite consistent in efficacy and provide good increments and profitability to farmers, but there are a lot of possibilities like CBAM for our industry to even improve the profitability to farmers and to the industry. And just a few words again, last 5 years we did a lot of studies for the drought tolerance, and it was interesting to find out that Azotohelp, which is a nitrogen fixing product, also is our best solution to improve drought tolerance. This is for 3 years studies results on corn and sunflower. We also do some specific tests with leaves treated by the products in these trials. So what we find out is that Azotohelp also helps plants to keep moisture better, and we also studied the priming effect of this product to induce plants' tolerance to the drought and on the gene level. So it's really interesting studies. We have described that in several scientific and industrial articles. And what does that mean in practice? Again, a few years ago in northern Italy, after flood, they got critical temperatures, and we used Azotohelp foliarly on sorghum. After a few weeks after application, we visit the field to make some measurements, and we find out that it was plus 46 degrees, really very difficult part of the work. But in the end, we get 400 additional kilograms of sorghum. So again, we helped farmer to keep the performance of sorghum despite conditions. So now I call it a kind of insurance. This direction is kind of insurance for farmers to get to preserve the yield even in conditions of stress. And the last direction, again, we are very happy to expand possibilities with the industry to get the benefits from microorganisms. And recent, more than 5 years, we collaborate with company Binfield in Ukraine to learn how to do the coating of granular fertilizers with bacterial component. So we already have a lot of data for good stability of this approach and also for the performance. We did more than 10 field studies, and you can see that these enriched fertilizers do the good difference in comparison to traditional ones. So we are very happy that Binfield is going to introduce these enriched solutions nearest time. So on that, as a final word, I would like to say that it's really nice to, because again, this event is a lot about fertilizers, about the trends, about the market behavior, market size, and here we have a lot of producers and traders and industry players who are looking for, who work with this direction for years, for ages. And I believe that in maybe in few conferences we will have even more space here for biologicals, because they are quite consistent, they are growing in terms of the market. And there is a lot of promotion from the European Union, from the authorities, from farmers, adoption. So I believe that soon biologicals would become a kind of commodity which will be traded in good volumes and used and brings the benefits to farmers. So that's all for my presentation.
Thank you, Dmytro. One thing is a fact that with these specialties, inhibitors were the trendy part maybe until 5 years ago, and since then they started also to commoditize. So hopefully there will be the time for biologicals to become this way, because actually this will prove that we're on the right track with the ecological and sustainable farming. Very nice synergy between inhibitors and bacterial products, and synergy also with the solids, where the biological products are applied into the solids. Questions from the room? Everything is clear, but Manfred has a question.
Dmytro, very interesting, especially the part that your products, they are helping to save CO2 emissions at the end, and the farmers are saving CO2. But the challenge is how to make a financial benefit for the farmer out of it. So it would be also a task for your company, but not only for your company, to find ways how to make it as a benefit for the farmer, to talk with the politicians, with the governments, with EU. Because of the CBAM, the farmers have only to pay for the saved CO2 with a more expensive fertilizer. But the other way is, when the farmers are saving CO2, they get no benefit of it. So it would be a consequence, a logical consequence, to say, how can the farmer get the benefit of it?
No, I completely agree with this direction. Thank you for this comment, and we really work in it. But already what we can say, for example, with Ecostern and carbon sequestration, okay, farmers, we don't have precedent yet that farmers get some compensations for saving carbon, but they enrich their soil, improve organic matter, improve fertility, and improve the yield, so they get already good benefits, which could be even improved when we come closer to certification or this direction. Speaking about biofertilizers, again, I believe current political initiatives would stimulate the use of biologicals and biostimulants, because farmers, yes, fertilizers for them will become more expensive because of these initiatives, and we can help them use a little bit less fertilizers, spend a little bit less, but with higher efficacy. So, but of course, I believe that later there could be some other instruments even to improve these benefits by some standards. And, yeah.
Thank you.
More questions from the room? All right, thank you, Dmytro. Applauses once again. And there we go. Last but not least, Maciej